Hey, welcome to Broken World Entertainment. And is there Marvel superhero fatigue happening? Well, according to Kevin Feige, no. According to everybody else, yes. So Marvel boss Kevin Feige responds to superhero fatigue concerns. While speaking on a podcast, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige addressed the idea of superhero fatigue amongst moviegoers. And check this out. After all, 2022 alone saw over a dozen live action superhero stories hit both big screens and television screens worldwide. And it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. Marvel has a dozen of announced and rumoured projects in development, and an end is nowhere in sight. And then there's James Gunn and Safran with DC doing all their good stuff. So, what was Feige's response? For when the question was asked, people were asking since second year at Marvel. His second year at Marvel, basically. Which they weren't really. They were kind of more questioning how long do you think that could go for. But his response was, I've been at Marvel Studios for 22 years now. Over 22 years. And most of us here at Marvel Studios have been around a decade or longer together. And from probably my second year at Marvel, people were asking, well, how long is this going to last? Is this fad of comic book movies going to end? And I didn't really understand the question. Why not? It's kind of an easy question. Because to me, it was akin to saying after Gone with the Wind, well, how many more movies can be made off of novels? Do you think the audience will sour on movies being adapted from books? Well, there's a big difference, Feige, and we'll get to that. Because he also said, well, you would never ask that because there is an inherent understanding among most people that a book can be anything. A novel can have any type of story whatsoever. So it all depends on what story you're translating. Non-comic readers don't understand it's the same thing in comics. There's 80 years of the most interesting, emotional, groundbreaking stories that have been told in the Marvel comics, and it is our great privilege to be able to take what we and adapt them. What? To be able to take what we and adapt them. That's the way he said it, and that's the way it is. Yeah, so he's pointing out when people wrote the adaptations of books, do people kind of go, oh, I'm sick of the adaptation of books? But each book is different. He's saying there's over 80 years of comic book material there for Marvel. Here's the problem with his response. Yes, there's 80 years worth of interesting and emotional and groundbreaking stories, yet he's only choosing to adapt all the stories that came out around 2015 onwards. All the failed material, the failed characters. The Ms. Marvels failed in the comic book run. She-Hulk was a well-liked character when it was the Savage She-Hulk. What version did they adapt? The 2015 version, which was a failed run. Captain Marvel, a failed character. You know, they just keep trying to adapt the failed characters now. Riri Williams, Ironheart, Echo, America Chavez. That's what they're focusing on. And now that the movies and their quality have plummeted, people are sick of it now, where they're like, okay, this is boring now because all of the movies are now all the exact same movie, the exact same trope. You can almost tell each punchline coming from a mile away. So the fatigue is definitely real. And this has been over a decade now of Marvel movies. And they're already looking for the next decade. But Phase 4 has been a disaster. Phase 5 looks like it's set up to be yet another disaster. The rest of all the other phases, who knows? Because everything is constantly changing and swapping and being delayed and being pushed. It's like one of the Avengers movies has already been pushed, like, what, 4 years now? It's not to come out until like 2027 or something. It's ridiculous. But they keep focusing on the failed comic runs. So they're not even adapting the newer stuff, which means the fatigue in the superhero genre has sped up, basically. DC are in the same scenario, with they think, oh, we've got new life and new hope with James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over, and yay, they're going to breathe new life. And the first thing they did was fire Henry Cavill, which immediately pissed off the fans and made the fans go, whoa, hang on, this isn't what we've signed up for. What are you doing? And then they just keep announcing weird things, and oh, we might keep some people, but we're going to get rid of the other people. And it's just a mess, which makes people lose interest. But there's absolutely fatigue on superhero movies, and there has been for a while. Yeah, they keep earning money, just about, because there's a bit of interest still there. But particularly with Marvel, when you have so much content coming out, so much. Like Marvel, you have no room to breathe between each project, because it's like, here's a show, now here's a movie, here's another movie, here's another 2 shows, here's another movie, here's another show, another movie, and another 2 movies, and another show. You're sitting there going, it's too much. You've got to stop. You've got to pull back the reins here. It's far too much. And it's far too much as well for the audience when it keeps coming out. Here's the next project. Here's next project. And each one is worse than the last. It's like, ooh, this one was bad. Oh no, so was the next one. Oh, and the next one after that. And then you end up with the likes of Thor, Love and Thunder. And She-Hulk. And people are just like, I'm done. And now we're being told Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, of course, has come back for reshoots to put in the Marvel jokes, because they looked at it and went, it's too dark. Put in the signature jokes. So yes, there's absolutely fatigue happening. And yes, Kevin Feige is adapting 80 years worth of comics, but he's only using the last 6 years worth of stuff. Yeah. And it's not the good stuff. And it's showing on the screen as well, because these characters are getting rejected on screen as well as they were in the comic books. So fatigue for Marvel is absolutely a real thing, and I think it's setting in quicker than they were expecting it to. Just look at the box office numbers for them. Kind of tells you the whole story really there, doesn't it? Anyway, with that one, I'll leave it there for this one. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.